Welcome back. We got something special.
This is so cool.
New intro, new music to our UTM.
Yeah, it works.
Oh yeah, Ryan's on it. You're gonna have to do little transitions between the different segments now for us.
And I will do that.
Hey, all right, we're back. We're ready to get started here.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
I'm learning about this new tech piece that Ryan purchased, which is actually kind of sick. Not gonna lie. It's a thing. Wow, that's specific.
What's it called, Ryan?
It's a Roland SPD SX Pro. It's a sampling pad by Roland. It's pretty penny, but worth it because it's going to be able to do everything and more. It's a looper. Also has the ability to layer, so it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's got some really great sounds in there, but it's more like a top of the line type of digital drum rather than some of the lower end stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like it's a one and only purchase. You don't really need to go further with it.
I'm not gonna lie, we're stepping it up into the world. Let's go.
I mean, I did what I did because I knew it was going to be versatile and I knew it was going to be worth it.
Well, the thing is, like, we literally went to Guitar Center like 6 different times specifically to check out different cymbals.
Yeah.
And we were crashing that place up literally. But it never seemed worth it to buy a single cymbal just for one sound in it. That wouldn't be versatile enough for what we were hoping for.
Because if you think about it, I'll go to something super simple on here.
There's options.
Oh yeah, of course.
What?
How many different sounds are there?
I think there's 100 right now, and then I can do whatever
kits?
else.
100 kits?
Yeah.
You can add kits.
Yes, of course. But what I'm saying is something like this. That's all we needed. But yeah, I can do that already.
Yeah, we almost got like a cymbal just for that sound. So
Yeah, we
that's
weren't
awesome.
going to spend $500 on a cymbal that we couldn't get to make it even sound like this.
yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, that's fun. That's also really fun. Well, that's a new update to our UTM world.
Yep, and it sounds like from just walking in today, a lot of us had some crazy days or weeks or whatever. So
Oh my gosh.
who's going first?
Today was not what I expected today to be for me, but that's fine.
What was originally on the schedule? Was it just UTM or was
Yes.
it really?
Yes.
Okay. And then like 9 other things.
So when we originally scheduled me to do scheduled the UTM for today, I had nothing else on the calendar. Like nothing. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep in. It's gonna be great. Then 2 doctor's appointments got scheduled. Then I needed gas. And then errands. And then I have to get back to go to dinner with Father Leon and Steve. And, it's a whole thing.
That's exciting.
And I'm here.
Well, I mean, aren't doctor's appointments always pre-planned?
Yes, but it's complicated. One of them got scheduled yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay. I'm here. I'm alive.
Scheduling. Yeah.
It's annoying to reschedule. Like one was, I'm not going to lie, I go to therapy. And so I had to schedule therapy in the morning. And I'm oh my gosh.
Important stuff.
Oh, but it's okay. My whole life is kind of insane now. I mean, it's always been insane, but now being the director,
There's a lot more.
Right. This is the first time we're doing UTM and you're the official director. So last time, I think it was like, hey, are you going to chicken out the last day of freedom? You're going to go for skydive or something?
Yeah, right. No, I remember it was like the couple days before I officially took over director of youth and young adult ministry at St. Greg's. And I was like, what am I going to walk into? And let me tell you, what have I walked into? It's kind of like a train just came at my face every day. And I'm juggling lots of things every day.
The train ain't got nothing on you. Just kidding.
I will handle the train.
Are you going to be like Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Oh, man. Too funny.
Yeah, but I'm okay. It's a lot. It's a shift.
Yeah. I had a very different day. Although, honestly, I'd say I'm coming out of the summer. So I had 2.5 jobs, essentially. There's the Tim Hortons job, which is baker full-time. And then there's I've been doing church part-time. Yeah. And then, so that's like a weekend thing all morning. And just between that, I work like 6 days a week. But then I added lifeguarding and gardening on top of that. So there were days I was working 7 days a week and then sometimes 2 jobs during a day. So I'm just coming out of that. And like, I've just honestly found myself just catching up on sleep and it's taking like a few weeks. But I'm just allowing myself to kind of like,
breathe
that being
a little.
said, today there was an order for 25 dozen donuts.
Oh,
and so, and that's on top of, everything. And it was a crazy day otherwise. So that was fun. Last week there was an order for 33 dozen. That was my record.
Wow.
So,
do you have to do okay, actually I don't know Tim Hortons, but do they call you ahead of time and like order this special order?
for orders like that,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Orders like
Because
that,
it's got to be
yes.
catered, I would assume.
So it's kind of like
Which
catering.
I have no idea why Tim Hortons caters in the first place. Like,
I
if you
love
want to
their
go
coffee.
get some donuts, like an order of, because there's a whole bunch of Tim Hortons working on an order for 2,000 donuts, and so I had to do
moly.
like 300 today.
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
So I don't know, but like, why
I
wouldn't you go
want
to a
them.
place like Paula's Donuts? You know,
Yeah.
where like if they need more help to make more donuts, they literally have more
There
bakers.
is, I'll tell you, listen, I work with youth, and there's a big argument in the Buffalo world of what the best donuts are. All right? Some people don't actually like Paula's,
And that's actually true.
and
If
they
I-
like Tim's better.
I personally don't like Tim Hortons, or I don't like Paula's. I actually like a donut place out in Carolina that I've gone to numerous times.
But it's weird. Some people, they're like, we'll do Tim Hortons instead because we don't like Paula's. And I'm like, really?
But I like a red velvet Paula's donut any day.
I miss donuts.
Super good.
And the other last thing that I'm really coming out of in a sense, but it's more like this process. Now, I didn't want to really, I'm ready to drop the mic on this one, I guess, literally, but.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, yeah. So I've been working on an application process for the state police.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so it's been super long. So I started end of February, and it's still not complete. But
Oh
they
my
just
gosh.
finished the background investigation. They just turned it into Albany. And I'll tell you, the last 2 or 3 months have been the most stressful thing in my life.
Oh, man.
Because you're always on call. And then, you know, for a typical job, you have like, 3 references. This ended up being like 30. And anytime they had questions about every single period of my life, they need 3 references for all the different residences or places I've been to, all the different schools, all the different everything, you know. And then apart from just like, thanks guys for being references for me, I appreciate it.
You're
of course.
welcome.
Yeah.
But you're-
Actually, can I tell you a funny story about that?
What's that?
So, I mean, you've now dropped that you did this. And
Yep.
the investigator called me.
Okay.
And
I haven't heard this actually. So.
this is funny. They called me right as I was like pulling into my house, and so I couldn't pick up the phone. And I get this voicemail. Hi, this is the police, like investigator, police, whatever. And I was like, what did I do? What did? And it wasn't
man.
for me. And they're like, no, it's for Michael Seigan. And I was like, oh, okay.
Man, way to freak out.
I literally thought I was like getting arrested or something. I'm
I
like,
could
what
see
are-
that being really terrifying. Yeah.
But it was not. I was fine. It was for you. So you terrified me, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole process terrified me. Like a polygraph. I mean, oh man, like that thing looked like an electric chair, and electric chairs were, you know, invented in Buffalo. But you know, I was expecting for that polygraph like an hour interview. You know how long it was?
No.
5.5 hours
You 5.5 hours for the polygraph?
for the polygraph.
That's
and then
intense.
besides that, I went to Batavia another day. You know how long that was?
No.
6 hours.
For another polygraph.
That was more like just like a sit down. Just imagine like those investigations you see on TV with the light above head. Just skip the light above head, but that's what it was.
You did that for 6 hours?
Yeah, that was another
Are
6
you
hours.
okay?
Yeah.
And
like,
then at
what?
another point, I think I told you guys about this one, but I had to go to Albany.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know how long that was?
You said all day.
13 hours.
Yeah, it was like a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you must really want this.
I've just been kind of like riding, so I just want to see how far I go, and I've gotten this far. So
Far, you're good.
So far, so good, I guess.
yeah, but the one thing that's been like the stressful part of it is like they're investigating you as if you are, like typically you give someone the benefit of the doubt, like everything is positive
Yeah.
experience. Like this is as if, because it's at the beginning, like
Yeah.
it's like they're investigating you as if you're the worst person in the world and as if you want to lie all the time. You know, a big part of the process is like, how truthful are you? How much integrity do you have? All this kind of stuff. Are you like the references? Like, are you willing to give references of people who are going to show the good and the bad? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad.
Let me tell you, trusting in the Lord. You're doing that right now.
Oh, I hope so. I was just trying to survive.
I mean, it's out of your control. Like,
That's the thing. Exactly.
so you have to trust the Lord in it.
That's the thing.
Yep.
I'm feeling that too right now. So
But all that being said, it's not a guarantee, obviously.
Yep.
Like I told I asked the investigator, like right now, it's like, what are my chances of actually, you know, getting accepted to academy? And that's a whole nother process where they're trying to kick you out. And he said 80%. I'm like, wow. okay. I need to be ready for a plan B just in case.
That's not intense at all.
No.
No, and I feel that way when the investigator called me. I'm like, I'm supposed to say something positive, but he also wants to try to deliberately get me to say something negative. It's really intense. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, he was very nice,
He's
but
super
it was
nice,
intense.
though. Super nice. He wasn't like rude.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything
He's
like
the type
that.
of person where he's like nice in such a way that he wants you to feel comfortable so that you could say
That's
something
exactly
negative.
that's exactly what he's
Yeah.
there to do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. 'Cause
Well, I
once
mean,
he gets
I
you
will-
there, he gets you to say something you didn't want to say. You're like,
That
darn it.
being said, like I think it ended up a very positive note, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
anyway,
think-
that's been my life for like 8 months.
I
6
do.
months.
I do appreciate that they're very thorough with someone who wants to be a police officer.
That makes total sense. Yes.
So when I went to Albany, there were like 600 of us there,
Jeez.
applicants. I was surprised. It's like I thought this thing was supposed to be like nobody wanted to be a
Yeah.
policeman, but there were like a lot of people there. But I think they cast a big net. I think that's the thing, and then they really weed
They
people
kind of
out.
have to probably
I guess
to
so.
get good.
But like I
solid-
remember one of the guys, we were just having a casual conversation as we're waiting in one of the lines, 100 people lines, and he was just like saying like in the open to the rest of us, not to anybody, actually giving the interviews, and he was like saying how he's gonna blow it off and not like say certain things, and you're like, I don't know. I was like, oh boy.
That's a problem.
No. Yeah. That's not an ideal situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Ryan.
Okay.
It's your turn.
My turn. Yeah. Still working at Wegmans.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. I mean, positive things at Wegmans. Doing well. Bought my new drum machine. Worth it.
It's so cool.
So worth it.
So worth it.
It was too expensive, but you live and you learn. I'm just saying. It was a good purchase though. So we're gonna rock and roll with that.
Wait, you guys. Sorry, I'm distracted. You put the things up on the wall.
Oh yeah, we put
Okay,
all.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we put all the
Yes.
design touches you gave us.
Yay! They
Yeah.
listened to my interior decorating. Woo!
Yeah, so
And
we
just like you said, actually.
Literally, that's exactly where I told you to put everything. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
So yeah, no, I'm just working at Wegmans. Positive things here. Drum machine's awesome, and living up my best life, watching movies, hanging out, doing things like I got to, praying hard, living.
Praying hard and living.
Yeah.
I wish I had consistency like you.
Well, I mean,
Not gonna lie.
I will say there's special people in my life that I'm trying out. I'm trying dating.
What? Mm-hmm. What?
Yes, I am.
You started something, Nicole.
You're dating somebody?
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Oh, I'm so high five. I'm so proud of you.
I asked about this, and she's like, "Yeah, you can mention it."
Oh my gosh, I'm so jazzed. Oh, guys, we're growing up. Sorry. Okay.
I'm just saying. I'm keeping it low
There's
key.
a reason you guys are both on the couch and I'm here on this high chair. So anyway,
Well, I'm
keep
keeping
going.
it low.
Oh, Mike, it's okay.
Well, for the audience,
I feel so bad.
basically for the audience, and if she hears, I'm keeping it low key for now. And she said I can mention it to my friends. So,
Here we go.
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm not low key. I have a boyfriend, so that's fun. That's a plot twist.
That's awesome.
Wow. Do you remember a year
I
ago?
thought you would
Yeah.
be too busy.
I thought so too, but God said, too bad, plop.
Yeah.
A year ago, oh my gosh, I was so mad about my vocation, and here I am.
Yep.
Fun
I
fact.
came to the conclusion with my situation. I'm just gonna let it happen and see how it goes.
That's
Because I'm holding a grudge against my own integrity. You know what I mean by that? So, I'm like, I don't want to just be judgmental.
yeah. The one thing I've learned in this whole process of dating someone is like you gotta just let go and let God, because I'm anytime I try to control or make plans, God laughs, totally laughs, and just says, "Good luck with that."
Yeah, like he thinks I'm ballsy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be failing, and so will the other person probably have some faults of their own. And so it is what it is.
It is what it is. There you go. Wow,
Anyways.
that's so exciting! Oh my gosh,
I know, right?
this is great.
I know.
Good
I've been floored.
Mike, where are you at? I was kidding.
I already said it. I've made 300 donuts this morning. I'm tired.
I'm so proud
No,
of
I
you.
meant like if you got anyone in your life.
No.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking, because he dropped that one, so I just wanted to make sure.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I hope it's okay if you're
You're
listening
doing
in.
great. You didn't say no names. Everything's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, Mike.
Move on.
Okay.
What's
Sorry.
our topic for today? That's
Well,
really
we want to
funny.
talk about Nicole was mentioning, and we want to talk
So
about
I-
spiritual warfare.
Yeah, we never actually talked about this on this podcast before, but I think it's a reality of our faith, and it's a reality of the world, is like spiritual warfare. And especially like for me as a person who is now a director of a department, and especially in the church as things are imploding. I don't know how else to exploding, imploding, all the things.
Imploding.
Imploding.
A little bit of all of it.
Just a lot. I'm definitely seeing like the effects of that warfare happening, like on the church, the people, the staffs, the priests, stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to hear your perspective as people who don't work in the church.
Wait a second, you can't pull that one on me because like I was working for St. Greg's
You
too
were.
at a time, and I thought at that time it was very much spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
I think what's more surprising to me is that the story continues.
3
years later.
That's an interesting part.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. It really doesn't. I just think it's now more bigger scale because it's like what's happening with the closures and kind of just the negative animosity that's happening in this diocese right now.
Oh, yeah.
Is really like, spiritual warfare. The demons and stuff are not helping the situation.
No, I see it
And
all the
people
time.
are not praying up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people wouldn't even realize, but like it's a reality.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, it's the feeling you get of the situation because of these things. No, it's like the spiritual warfare and the enemy is a reality. Unfortunately, it's very real.
It's very real. It's unfortunate. I mean, when the fall of the angels happened, like they became demons and they basically, their whole goal is to destroy humanity. So like,
Yep.
it's not something that we can just hide and say doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, if you want a very out there from the outside in, I'm seeing, because I haven't worked for a church,
Yeah.
but I mean, I go to help with youth ministry. I'm seeing the negative animosity, as you're saying, from the idea that it's like, this person's being mean, or this, he's just a shepherd. Like, our bishop's a shepherd.
Yeah. Well, the bishop's getting a lot of it right
Yeah.
now.
So what I'm seeing is a lot of, why is this? Why is that? It's like Michael said, it's a reality. Things have to happen for things to move forward. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunately just what it is.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily always, per se, spiritual warfare. It's just case is reality.
But spiritual warfare definitely exists, and it's
it does,
affecting
yeah.
all of this.
Yeah.
In my experience.
No, I get it.
There's a sign when I was in St. Greg's, I think it's in the little kitchenette place, that really gave me hope every time I saw it. It said, God will not lead you where where his grace cannot uphold you. And that was really cool. And that's one thing I always found was so first of all, you talk about the enemy, and it's not just sometimes you can really get the sense that, oh man, this is very deliberate. There's a plan,
Yeah.
That's being executed. And really whenever that seemed to be happening, I really had to go back 2-3 years where I remember those times in my life where God, I really felt God's grace, upholding me in a very deliberate way too. And sometimes that's all you got. Sometimes you don't feel God in the moment, but you just kind of have to remember and look back. And hopefully, I know for me that God was always there to pick me up when I crashed and burned. So
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. I definitely feel that. I mean,
How is it for you?
Obviously, Mike, you and I have been through a lot at St. Greg's, with COVID and just a lot. We were there for a lot of this stuff. And it was a different time because I think when that started, I wasn't even the associate director. I think I was just the middle school youth minister, when that started. So I didn't have the same authority when it came to making choices or authority over the ministry and the kids and the community. I just kind of existed and saw the struggle that people are going through. So I saw it happening, and then as I got more and more authority, so then I became the associate director, I started to experience that spiritual warfare in kind of a more concrete way because I had more authority over the ministry.
Well,
and then now as the director, it's been next level. So it's as the person who is in charge of this department, I often feel like I am the defender for this month, the defender of the kids and the core, and I have to pray up all the time, and I'm holding back the storm against them.
Right.
Which is fine. It's tiring, but it's fine. It's what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And I think I have a different perspective for how the enemy likes to impact and try to like influence people.
So you don't have to give like specific examples, but how would you make it more concrete? Like, what are you talking about when you're talking about like? What
I
are you
have to
holding
be
back,
careful.
you know?
I can't say specifics about certain
yeah,
things.
that's
exactly.
Right. You don't have to.
But
You could still make it more concrete, though.
yeah, I can make. There are things that sometimes happen in the building. There are things, I'm seeing the impact on people's personalities or like struggles that core members are having. I noticed it before, but now it's like very in my face and concrete, and I have to like pray up for them.
Yeah.
And I have to like defend them in a more authoritative, I'm the director way.
Oh, like almost kind of like a parenting role.
Kind of, but authority is a big thing when it comes to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, I'm not a priest, so I don't have that authority of a priest, or I'm not literally their parent.
Right.
But as they're in that moment when the kids are there, or the core members, I am the authority over the department. So I have authority over the kids.
So you literally have the authority of the whole department per se.
Yes.
Is what you're literally saying.
Yes.
It's like I have that authority.
Yes.
To literally tell anyone and everyone, this is I'm running the show.
Anyone or anything.
Yeah, I'm running the show.
Yeah.
My mind's going back to when I was in the seminary, actually.
Go ahead.
That was, so I was there for a year, and I guess the way I would that was actually, I would say, worse than my time at St. Greg's. And it was twofold. Like, that was a time when my prayer was the deepest and most extensive in my entire life. But at the same time, you were surrounded in an atmosphere of not the people like immediately next to you, but just the diocesan environment.
Well, you were in the seminary during the scandals, right? Like when it all hit.
Exactly,
Yep. Yeah.
exactly. Okay, well, a little bit. I'll just give a few pieces. So, I started my application process in the seminary, and that was back in Steubenville. And, I was already hearing rumors of like, oh, they're, starting scandals and stuff breaking out. And so like, I kind of went into the seminary with that mindset, I want to see what I can do to help, to make it more of a positive experience. And so that's not necessarily the best grounds for discernment, honestly, because that's what my discernment of the priesthood was based on, I would say.
Ooh, that's rough.
And so lots of things happened when I was there. Like, we were dealing with like you didn't know who to trust. Like, not many, but like there were like two moles, you would say, who would like feed news to the news media.
Like that were in the seminary.
In the seminary.
Like were they staff or like seminarians?
No, other seminarians.
Other seminarians. Okay.
Yeah, and so like you didn't know who to trust. And so that was weird. Like, we were dealing with all the different, like, do you remember, like, the news agencies at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, like,
they would literally go to the seminary and, like, awkwardly film you guys.
Yeah,
think I know
and
what you're
all
talking
they do is, like, just, like, blast the negativity. And, like, we have perfectly good seminarians. I came in with a group of 8 of solid guys that were just seeing the priesthood because they loved God and loved the faith, and God was working in their life.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it had to be like that. So it's just you're trying to live a good, normal, quote unquote, life, and just keep moving forward and growing in that type of atmosphere. So it's just this weird thing going on. But then, towards the end, lots of pretty much every one of my classmates, discerned out during the time.
Yeah.
But I think what impacted me more than I realized was, I won't drop last name here, but like Eric. There was one night, it was close to the last in the semester, we had like a social wine and cheese night. And then next thing you know, in the morning, is that I wake up and I learn that he was in a car crash where he almost lost his life. And then he woke up in the ECMC, essentially. Yeah. And so, it's such a small thing, drinking just the tiniest bit too much, he went to tops, and then next thing he knows, he's crashing into someone's house. That's what happened. It was just this crazy experience. And I remember the night before, I had this conversation at the dinner table with, there are other seminarians, but my formation director was there too. Father Rob, actually. So
Oh,
you
hey!
guys know him. And it was weird because, I just had this conversation where I started it to Father Rob, and it's like, one of the things I think would be so cool as a priest is, just to be like there for people, like, let's say at a, a car crash, and you're just praying with a person and you're giving them a blessing, and during that time, what happens that night? It freaked me out so much. Like after that, I kind of went into a little bit of shock, and I didn't even realize. And because there was at that table, there was some spirit moving for that conversation to happen. And for me, I didn't know if it's a good one or a bad one. Yeah. And that freaked me out. And so I continued, to discern, and I knew that I was carrying on with me one of these principles that I learned, in the priesthood discernment program in Steubenville, was like, just be faithful and God will reveal his will. And so that was my approach. I knew that in a time of crisis is not the time to change, your discernment.
Yep.
And so I was just going to keep following through, and I knew that God would carry me through if that's something he wanted. And it was like a month later that all of a sudden, boom, I didn't expect it. I didn't want it. God changed the direction on me. I was like, why do you want this?
Yeah.
Like, why would you want me to leave? That's harder now than staying, because I'm going to look like this coward.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, like, I kind of have, like, I want to support, be there for people, kind of like this hero mentality. And so for me to leave felt awful. But I went to St. Greg's.
Yeah. Which is, I remember that moment.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you on the retreat.
Do you want me to share about that when I ran into you?
Sure, if you want.
It was actually really fun. So even back then when I was just the middle school youth minister, youth ministers work really weird hours. And so we're just like always around doing something. And I remember it was like an afternoon or evening or something. And I had to send letters like in the mail. And I see Michael Seigen sitting there with like a guitar. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Now at this point, I don't really know him. I just know that you're Father Paul's brother. That's like all I know.
I was a skinny seminarian. I was probably like 160 pounds at that point.
Yeah, you were a tiny little dude. Was your brother was a priest at that point, right? Was he still seminarian?
He was priest.
He was a newly ordained priest.
Yes.
Yes.
He was brand new.
And I had no idea what was going on. I was like, what are you doing here?
No, he was a year in, almost
was
a year.
year.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually asked him, I was like, what are you doing here? You gave me some like vague blowing off answer. And I was like, okay, have a great day. Weird.
Wow, so I can lie.
You didn't lie very well.
Oh,
I kind of put the two and two together, what was happening. But then I go, I think I said, aren't you in the seminary? And again, you totally skirted around the question. I walk back to the the YM office, and I see Adam.
Yep.
And I'm like, Adam, the weirdest thing just happened. Michael Seigen is sitting in the, the parish office with his guitar. Is he about to be interviewed to be a musician or something? And Adam's super, because I think he was part of the interview, was like not answering either. And I'm looking, I'm like, but isn't he a seminarian? And Adam's like, I can't. I'm like, okay, well, God bless everyone. And I just go get my work done.
Yeah.
That was it was a funny moment. It was definitely really funny.
I was not expecting to have that whole tangent, but anyway.
That's okay.
I
Here
mean, I
we
don't
are.
have much to say about what I would say about it.
The Holy Spirit shows up, makes us tangent wherever he wants us to go.
But hey.
But I'm going to guess in seminary, like, that spiritual warfare was real.
Like, real.
Okay, another story. Like, I remember, what was it? Christ the King, I think I was already out at this point, but I went for, like, a returning, like a graduation mass. Not my graduation, but it was like a mass. And I remember, at this point, I wasn't along with the other seminarians up in more like the choir area where they all sit. I was more in the vestibule or in the regular pews, and I was on one side. And on the other side were the two other seminarian moles, I would say, just right there. And this is a time where people were picketing, and they were part of the picketers. So it was like, I just felt like I felt terrible. I felt like, I don't know.
You felt it.
No,
yeah,
I felt something.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You felt it.
I mean, it's everything going on against the church. Like, it's palpable.
Oh, man.
And working in the church right now, it's very difficult and it's very draining and exhausting. There's a lot of like division staffing wise, and I'm not just saying St. Greg's. I'm speaking very like plainly about a lot of parishes.
Like the diocese.
No, parishes.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
even talking diocese. We're gonna get up there.
Oh,
But
okay, all right.
I'm talking parishes.
I see.
Parishes, the staffs are very divided. Parishioners are very divided.
No, that's true.
And with the closure announcements, I mean, like, parishioners are losing their minds, which I don't blame them for because it's their parish, but like,
You got to
it's-
trust in the Lord.
you got to, but it's, I mean, the
You gotta do it in
whisperings,
Fabtopia.
the whisperings of the devil is real and causing a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, even though St. Greg's is not supposed to close, like, we're still hearing the
Rumblings?
There it is, yeah. The rumblings of
People being worried about it closing, kind of? Or?
no, like St. Pius people coming and complaining.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see.
No,
And for
I
me,
imagine.
as someone who lives at a parish that is being sold and closed, or closed and sold,
Yeah.
I get my own side of it too.
No, that's one of the things I think about all the time. It's like, that whole trusting piece, come on.
Yeah, trusting. It is not easy to trust right now.
No,
It
I
is
know, but it's like
not.
there's a dramatic answer to. I don't understand. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's tough. I think the sense that a lot of people have is like they're losing their home, you know, because the church is a home for people. And what they're trying to, or what just has to happen is just like we have to have more of a mentality of more like, I think you said before, like a vending machine, like where it's a place you can get the sacraments and like everything is still available. But like, you know, church is more than that. It's a home. And so you want your pastor to be there and you want the people, and
Yeah.
just to have your church closed is tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough. But I think there's also the aspect where like a lot of people weren't expecting this to happen in the first place. So that just kind of makes everything a little bit more toxic, you know?
Yeah,
So
because when the road to renewal started, they were very adamant on saying we are not closing places.
yeah.
And I mean, personally, I thought that was false from the beginning.
Right. I can imagine. Yeah.
I'm not blind to what's going on. Again, working in churches, you see a lot of interior things. My thing is, it's like they should have done this first. They should have just closed
Yeah,
everything
they tried
first.
to combine like a spiritual renewal with
Yeah.
something like this, and it just is one and the same, and they're both bad now. So
And it caused confusion. There's a lot of people that are just like confused about like, it's simple things like, when do I go to mass? Where do I go to mass? I need to talk to Father, but I can't because he's at a different church. Like, it just kind of caused confusion,
Right.
I think. And it
man.
caused actual separation and division.
In other
do you
words-
remember the movement to restore trust?
Oh, yeah.
The MRT
No.
or MTR, something like that. Like that was a whole thing. Is led
When
by
was
one
that?
of the. Is led by one of the. I think is one of the faculty or the president or something at Canisius, and it was like this whole thing, you know, to be in support of the bishop and try to just restore trust between, you know, the church faithful and you know the diocese
Yeah.
essentially. And they ended up denouncing the bishop. It was just this awful thing. It didn't, you know, as part of
Yeah.
those listening sessions and everything, and it's just like didn't turn out the way it was terrible.
But again, you know what the enemy's really good at?
What was that?
Division.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what he
yeah.
does. And he's all over what's going on. And it's just it's really hard. It's really hard on people, and I feel really bad for the priests too.
I think more so on the priests, honestly.
Yeah, it's the hardest for them.
Oh yeah, it's so hard. I mean, your brother's one. I can't even imagine what he's
Because at the
going
end of the
through.
day,
Right.
I feel like you can, as a lady, find a way, per se.
Like at the end of the day, I can work at Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
So, but a priest, you know, that's their life.
Yeah, they don't have an option.
You know, for you could just like teach Taekwondo,
I could.
and like you'll be fairly happy.
I don't know. My body's a little old now, so it'd probably be like, with my back, but still.
Still,
You can,
like you can still
you're
have
not
a
tied
life.
into a situation, per se.
Yeah, except for when the Lord's calling you and saying you're not
Yeah.
allowed to leave. And you're like,
Fair.
that's awkward, but okay.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, a priest, it's a whole other animal. Again, I'm not a priest, but I.
Yeah, that's
work
what
with priests.
frustrates me. And this goes beyond I guess all the negativity in the diocese per se, but it's like this constant for a long time. there's always been the dynamic of clergy versus laity, right? It's something that we've heard so much coming out of Vatican II, trying to give the laity more responsibilities and all this kind of stuff, be a part of more committees and have them part of decisions and all of this in the church. But I don't see where that comes from necessarily. And I'm going to sound like a clericalist, but I'm saying this as one who is not a cleric.
Yeah.
So hopefully that means something. But, you know, for a priest, they give their life to that. And they're not just like, they're living their lives in imitation of Christ, but there are moments where they are in persona Christi. They are Christ. So, like, they have something that's very special. They have an authority which is, like, very unique and integral to who they are. Because, like, when they're ordained, there is a seal on their heart.
Ontological change.
There's an ontological change in their, like, who they are. And they can never go back for the rest of their life, in their life in heaven. They are a priest forever in the line of Melchizedek.
Yep.
They should be allowed to make some decisions
Yes.
in the church and guide the people,
Well,
like the good shepherd that they're supposed to be.
When you know a man becomes a priest, they get authority that's like different than everybody else.
Right.
And you know, we talk about spiritual warfare. They have authority. If you're speaking of authority, they have the highest authority. Like, even me as a director of a department, I can only do so much. A priest can come in and handle things that I can't handle. You have to respect that. Like, you
Right.
have to respect the fact that priests are given authority to both teach, to defend, to, what's the other one? Like, make law and govern. Governance is part of it. Like, is part of being a priest. They have the right of governance. That's what's part of it. And as lay people, yeah, we should have a voice in the church, but there are points where you basically need to shut your mouth
Right.
and listen to the priest.
There's one thing I know for certain is, like, I am never going to be on the same level as a priest. And even if I don't like them, even if maybe they do bad things, even if they've done awful things, you still give them respect.
Yes.
Like, that never changes.
Yes. You have to. You literally have to. And we're missing a lot of that. And I think it's a mistake when you put too much power into the laity's hands because they don't have that authority. And I mean, there is a place for the laity to do things. Like me as a youth minister, that's a great laity position.
It's a great ministry.
That's a great, it's a ministry. Like, I'm not, I could leave. Like, I don't have to do this. But if a priest comes in and says, no, I want you to do it this way, okay, you're the priest. Sounds fantastic.
I had thought, though, that tangent heavy, like, the people that are losing their churches, they're still priests that you're going to be able to see do the sacraments somewhere else. So think of it that way, too.
Unfortunately, I believe a lot of people care about the buildings over their faith.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard. Anyway.
But it's real. I mean, again, working where I do, I hear this from people. And living where I live.
It's so nice to know that you can have a priest outside of just a building.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole thing like where I moved, and they were like, oh, we don't have any priests. And it's like, no, you have 3 in the family now. And people are just kind of forgetting that, like, your family has priests, right? And yes, maybe they're not at the church every day, but like, at least you can still go to mass. Like, at least you have the sacraments.
You have the ability to go call
Right.
the parish office.
I mean, I feel like if someone has, like, the priests are so stretched right now.
Yes.
The people that should be, you know, making the changes right now are the people should make the effort to drive a little further to go to mass. You know, that's just the way it should be.
And
Why
I
isn't that
always say
natural?
that, like,
people used to go in sleighs, you know, and travel half a day to get to mass, and then they'd go back.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, there was a time when the Diocese of Buffalo was not a diocese, and also did not have as many churches as they did. People just went, like, it's fine, like, go.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating when you see, like, in the suburbs and the city, when you have, like, Catholic churches 5 minutes away from each other, and you wonder why, like, they're all up in arms, and they're like, oh, we want to close. Why are you closing? It's like, drive 5 minutes. You go to like Africa, they get mass once a month.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Diocese of Buffalo, you are very privileged rights here, like very privileged Catholicness here.
Like right now in the South Towns where we're located, let's think about this, Michael. We have Queen Heaven, St. Bernadette's, you got St. John Vianney's, you have the ability to go all the way into West Center, so you can go, which is only about 10 more minutes. You have the ability to go to 14 Holy Helper, St. John the 23rd. We at least have 6 places within the area we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Where I live, I only have one, but
Yeah, and so it just goes back to what the other thing that people keep saying is right sizing, right?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the topic we were thinking about when it came to spiritual warfare.
No, but it's true. I mean, it's real.
I think the spiritual warfare of it is just attending Mass.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
okay, so what was I going to say? Like, I think in the midst of anything, whether it is like we were talking about the renewal and its negative aspects, and then we were also talking about spiritual warfare with like, at the workplaces or wherever we were, we mentioned those things. And I'd go back to faithfulness. Faithfulness is the most important thing.
I always said that too.
But at the same point, I'm thinking about this now. At some point, we all just got to kind of raise our hands and say, like, we're all sinners.
Yeah, we all suck.
You know?
In other words, like, we all suck.
And we got to stop.
Yeah.
Because there can be this attitude where, like, we're pretending to be perfect. And I'm going to speak for myself. There are a lot of things, like, I could have done better. And, and I think it's when people aren't honest like that, it just makes it hard to be community.
Yeah.
And I think it helps with the spirituality of your formation of who you are as a lady. Helps you enjoy yourself more. Everybody can get along better. You can appreciate the sacraments more. Mm-hmm. There's a whole spiel.
Yeah. You don't want to be holier than thou because the only perfect people, Mary, Jesus.
Exactly. Pointing the finger at others, it just makes things worse. You
Yes.
got to point the finger at yourself.
And that's what's happening because of all these divisions. And I truly believe the devil's sneaking his whisperings into it. It's causing division and people to not even look at themselves. It's just, let me just look at everyone else and get mad at everybody else and well, what are you doing? Like I remember, it was when all the before the final decisions came out and just the recommendations
the last
came
couple
out.
of weeks.
For the closing of the parishes,
yes, just the recommendations. The amount of like I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I am.
Right.
The amount of people that I'm friends with that surprisingly started posting about their childhood parishes and making GoFundMes and trying to save it.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
I was like, why aren't you going to church?
You're
Why aren't
right.
you participating in the faith? You just want to save the building? You don't want to actually have a faith?
I have some examples.
You have to look at yourself.
If they just went there every week and gave $2 or $3 a week,
Your parish probably could have stayed open.
right?
Yes. It's not that we like to live based off of money. I hate money. Trust me, it's
I
the
literally
worst.
hate it. That's the worst thing.
Oh my gosh.
I
But
love. No, you can't.
you do? You love it?
It helps
Great.
us.
No, I spend it very easily. Honestly.
Same.
No, don't.
Let's talk about this room. No,
I
I'm just
did
kidding.
earlier this month.
Hey,
I worked hard. I worked my butt off. Okay.
Just saying.
Something like that.
That was about $1,000.
Was that supposed to be funny? Okay.
Yeah, that was about
Keep going.
$1,000.
What were you saying,
worth of
Nicole?
that. Anyway,
We still have to support financially our parishes. And it's like, I know no one wants to talk about tithing, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, I need money." Doesn't the church have money? There's still bills that have to be paid. There's still
it's considered a
salaries that have to be
not-for-profit.
paid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really make a livable wage because people have stopped bringing money to St. Greg's. Even St. Greg's is being impacted.
Yeah.
So, like,
I just don't work for the church.
honestly,
I'm just saying.
God bless you guys. I love working for the church, but sometimes I'm like, wow.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But
Sometimes
if it's even the biggest parish is being affected. So, like, literally put your money where your mouth is
the
and, like,
animosity- there's
take care of your parishes.
there's animosity behind, they're doing they want money for the church, okay, right? But then they also want this extra charity fund. So they're going to do, two, things for Mass for the, and they're like, the school fund, also the homeschool guild. What are they doing? They're just taking so much money. It's like, their parish, those things just don't run themselves.
Yeah.
I get, because I recently started doing a lot of ushering.
Yeah.
So I'm taking up the, money
Collections.
to the collections. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there's 2 funds today. 90% of the people are just going to do the first one. I'm going to see like one nice, happy old lady going to be like something else. And I'm going to be like, that second thing is there because they're just trying to not force the envelope, but they need the money.
Yeah. And, churches now are having to make decisions on like, do we do this or we don't do this? I mean, youth ministry ourselves, we've had to make decisions on cutting stuff because our budget got cut. We don't serve food anymore because hospitality is unnecessary. Unless people donate, which people have, which is nice, but and then people get upset and they're like, "Why aren't you providing?" And I'm like, "Because we don't have the funds. I don't know what to tell you."
Well, if those people are the ones asking, why aren't they the ones helping?
Though actually our families are pretty good.
No, I mean,
will
like
say
that,
our
but,
families are great.
yeah,
but
that's awesome.
It was interesting watching on social media like that happening when the recommendations came out and like all these people posting, which like I didn't even know they were Catholic and I didn't even know like they were like at some point were baptized. Like I had no idea because I just don't go to church like ever.
I know exactly
and
what you're talking
I'm
about.
sitting there and I'm like, if you did this 10 years ago, we would be in a very different position.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, you
Probably.
are right.
I think I would.
You are right.
You think?
I think. You think. You think.
Oh man.
It's a
I
hard
thumped it
world
in.
right now. But moral of the story is just like pray up.
Yeah, I think every generation drops the ball. Like, I can very easily blame the generation above me and say, honestly, a lot of the problems in the church are not because of my generation, but they're the generation before, and we're experiencing those effects. But I think with my generation too, it's probably going to be the same thing.
Yeah, our generation has our own flaws.
Like, we don't even go to church, and we don't put any money. Like, there won't be a church at all.
Yeah, no.
So that's probably going to be the next, the next
I would
generation
actually say,
down.
the previous generation. They
yeah,
were,
I mean, young
they were
adults
pretty-
just don't. I mean, not all. We like.
Because, I don't know. Do you have all those, the next generation talking about their nun experiences and the bad? Wait, you've never had that? Like,
Well, I mean,
going to school under the nuns.
the
and all
previous
this kind of
generation
stuff.
or the
yeah.
next? Oh, yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
surrounded
yeah,
by
yeah.
those people? Yeah, I'm surrounded by those people.
Franciscans,
like even
bro.
my mom was like, I was taught by all
And
these
whenever I
nuns.
hear that, I'm like, but at least you really got the Catholic faith slapped into you.
Right, but you got it. Now, I mean, I went to a Catholic school, grades K through 6, and I had one sister, two. One was a librarian, one was my 5th grade sister. But I currently work at a school, kind of, there's no religious.
Yep.
Yeah, like there are no religious, period.
No, they all left.
There just aren't religious.
They left.
I mean, what?
Which I
Yeah.
also think is impacting this because I was talking to actually Andy Erdman.
Oh, nice.
And he's all about religious. And he was like, do you notice the second the Carmelites leave, Dominicans, all these orders leave, look what happens in the diocese. And I'm like, ooh. And he goes, when you don't have the prayer hubs to protect the diocese against spiritual retaliation, look at what happens.
That is legit.
And I'm like, whoa.
He makes a fair.
Because, yeah, they were cloistered, but their job was to pray up and, protect.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, here's a good segue. So we've talked about all of this. So what do you think is the answer? How do you move forward? What is because I think we're all in agreement here. There is going to be a positive future, but how do you see that? How do you get there?
I think there is. I think we're going to go through a couple years of turmoil. We're not done yet. I think there's going to be a lot of grooming and pruning and trimming down to basically smaller but greater, more faithful.
Yeah.
And I think it's just for the faithful, just hold on. Just really get to the Eucharist, really get close to the Lord and pray up because we're walking through a tornado right now.
Yep.
And it's very easy to get flung out. Trust me, for myself, it hasn't been easy. Since my birthday, September 10th, when everything dropped and learning.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Thanks. Yeah, all the announcements came out on my birthday.
Yeah. Well,
It was awesome.
happy birthday.
Oh,
Sorry. It's okay.
Happens.
The hearing that hasn't been easy for me because it's my housing, right? So that's
Right.
not an easy situation to be in. And I've had moments where I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. But then God's like, don't you dare. You stop it right now. And I'm like, Meh. So just cling on to the Lord and like
Yeah.
the sacraments and pray.
Yeah.
And don't let others influence your thoughts. Just listen to the Lord.
That's literally it.
What about you, Ryan?
For me, it's always been, you can't, I mean, I don't know how to put it, but you can't be, the joy of it, like you can't be, like, what am I trying to say?
I don't know.
So what I'm basically trying to say is you can't be overjoyed to an extent that's a crazy, like you always will have your faith. You can't be over the top about it. It's always going to be there, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I always say to people, it's like you can't, like you're saying, Nicole, you can't not, like you trust all the time. So I'm on a tangent and then I'm not figuring it out. But basically, you can't lose it once you already have it, is what I'm saying, like the Holy Spirit, like when you get baptized. So it's never going to not be there, like we're saying when a priest is ordained. Mm-hmm. So like it's never going to not be there. But and so what I'm saying is you can't be influenced by others. Like even if it's like, oh, I'm practicing so little, it's so minute, I haven't been able to really go to Mass every single day, or I missed Mass once in a while. Like it's difficult because our diocese is going to go through that struggle.
Yeah.
Like COVID.
Yeah.
So
but the faith is still there.
This faith is still strong.
Even if it's small in you.
Yeah, like if it's super small in you, you still are confirmed. You have your sacraments, you're baptized, you can receive the
grace
Eucharist.
is still present whether you like it or not.
whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's always like I can literally be a terrible Catholic to an extent in certain respects. Need some good confession.
Yeah.
I need some good Eucharist time. I don't know how to do anything about it because the diocese is bumming us out. But like,
you still got the grace.
You still got the grace. Like
Hang on to the grace.
'cause I always say that to people that are really ticked about their parish closing. Sucks. Good. No. Stop talking about it.
Hang on to the grace.
Yeah.
Moral of the
If
story.
all you're gonna do is think about it in the negative aspect, then where's the positive? Mm-hmm. Sorry that started off weird.
It's all right. You're doing great, Ryan.
I had a good thought and it made sense.
Mikey Mike.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so there was definitely like a period of time, a few years, where I was overextending myself, trying to do my best. And at that time, it was in a capacity in the church. And then I tried to go up a notch. You remember that time? I was working for the diocese for just a tiny bit.
Yes.
Got flung out. So
Yep. You tornadoed out.
I kind of tornadoed out.
We had 3 tornadoes.
But yeah, so I kind of had a chance to retreat in a sense, just to focus on myself. And I guess from a life perspective, I think maybe is a good thing. Like just from a working and just get a handle on, secular life. Mm-hmm. And so there's been lots of projects, kind of in between with that. And I've been doing races and all this kind of stuff. And I guess what surprised me a lot was that it's a little bit harder or busier than I thought it would be. I thought maybe it would be kind of easier out here in the quote unquote real world. But
hey, I live in a real world.
kind of, I've still been pushing really hard and I'm looking forward and I'm just kind of like waiting and I don't know how you say it. I'm excited for the time when I'm able to feel confident, feel grounded enough to be able to start giving back again.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's going to be for you because you did the whole in the church working thing. It's going to be totally different when you're working secularly, but then you can volunteer and still give back to the church without having to be employed by it.
I'm almost there.
I know.
And so I'm just waiting to explode. So I'm not quite, I don't know. It'll happen in God's time.
It's going to happen in God's time.
So,
man, if I ever am not working at St. Greg's, it's going to be so weird.
No, we will totally support whatever that is.
I have a dream, but we'll see.
You have a dream too?
I do.
I thought you were at the top of the line right
dream.
now. Ooh, I'm just excited.
Yeah, I'm just excited
Cool.
to just let the Holy Spirit take over.
Holy Spirit activate.
Come
That
Holy
probably
Spirit,
is.
let's
I
go.
think
There's
that's
a future.
I think
Yeah.
that's literally what the conversation leads to is trust, Holy Spirit, and never give up.
Trust, Holy Spirit, never give up. Boom. That's it, guys. We're done. We did it.
Yeah.
Trust, Holy Spirit, never give up.
That's right.
Yes. I don't know what else to do.
All right. Oh.
Anyway.
Next time, you really gotta. I'm expecting those skills to come out.
Yeah, I'm not
This is
really.
just the first time,
I want to hear
guys.
those 16ths and
Yeah, I'm not really
quarter
sitting
tones.
All
up.
right, on that note, team, we gotta
Get to the
move on
next part of-
next part, which is
We're gonna
music.
be
Thanks,
doing
guys.
music. Moving on.
Just know that we're not mad about anybody's opinion. We're just speaking to our own.
There we go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, team.
All right.
Yes. What are we doing?
That's it. We're ending it. Peace
Yep.
out.
Okay.
Hail
Name of the
Holy
Father,
Queen.
Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope.
To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary,
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God.
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Peace out, y'all. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks all for
Yes.
listening.
Bye.
Fade this out.